The government is being accused of dragging its feet over its pledge to convert its massive vehicle fleet to electric. Following the election, the coalition parties committed to rolling over the 25,000 public vehicles, where possible, to emissions-free by 2025. But documents released under the Official Information Act show government organisations have been reluctant to make the change. Here's our political reporter, Craig McCulloch.
Tim Jackson's not your typical car nut. He loves his vehicles and he loves them electric.
Right. So we've got Eva, who's the van, Lettuce the Leaf, and they've got Zoe the Zero. And here we are.
Right, let's have a look then, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
The Wellington man owns 3 EVs, an electric motorbike, a Nissan Leaf, the most popular plug-in in the world, and a Nissan ENV200, a 7-seater van. Mr Jackson says he'll never go back to petrol, but admits the upfront cost of the clean green cars still puts off a lot of potential buyers.
You know, you can buy the latest, greatest Nissan Leaf. I think they're around $50,000, which is still a significant amount of money for essentially a Toyota Corolla type vehicle.
The government is considering a suite of measures to try bring down that price. The Climate Change Minister, James Shaw, says number one is switching the government's fleet to electric, to then be on-sold 3 to 5 years later.
Probably the single fastest, greatest difference that we can make is to stimulate the second-hand market. So that's where we're using the purchasing power of government to really try and drive that forward.
But there's a problem with that plan. The big price tag is also putting off the public service. Documents released under the Official Information Act show government organisations are facing major difficulties switching over. A briefing from the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority says agencies are reluctant to shell out for the expensive vehicles and the charging requirements that come with them. Just 226 of the government's 25,000 vehicles are electric so far, less than 1% of its fleet. National's Jamie Lee Ross says it's not good enough.
This government needs to stop dragging its feet, and if there's a serious desire for a reduction in emissions in the vehicle fleet in New Zealand, government should be leading the way, and the government should be using its ability and its purchasing power to look more seriously at electric vehicles.
The Minister with chief responsibility for electric cars is Julianne Genter. The Green MP accepts the government may need to change the way it calculates the best value for money when buying new cars.
We need to take a more holistic view of the benefits to New Zealand in general rather than a really narrow accounting perspective on, you know, maybe it's $5,000 cheaper to get the internal combustion engine vehicle, but actually the lifetime benefits to the fleet of having that electric vehicle are far greater, and that's something the government needs to prioritise.
The minister responsible for the government fleet is David Parker. He was unavailable to comment, but his spokesperson says uptake will improve along with the technology. But on current levels, with 99% of the fleet still made up of petrol vehicles, it seems it'll be a long road ahead to meeting that emissions-free goal by 2025. Atu iti whare parimata mō te hōtaka o te ahiahi, ko Craig McCulloch.